My name is Jean-Guy Dales, and pronouns are he, him. I graduated George Brown College class of 2015 for the T163 video game programming program. I've been at Ubisoft since 2018, and I'm a dev test engine specialist. So in my current role as a dev test engine specialist, for the most part, I work with the engine, and the engine kind of touches on everything, but primarily I'm more concerned with stability, performance, rendering, that kind of thing, because if none of those things are working well, then nobody else can do their job, right? So it's kind of like the more important part of getting a game going and testing every day. I do work with devs closely. I can test their code, and I can even fix bugs in the code if I need to. And lately, I've been doing a lot of knowledge sharing. So any information I've learned over the years, I'll share with people on the project. How have support of people and mentors contributed to my career development? My husband is my #1 supporter. I wouldn't be here without him. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for one of my classmates. She was already working at Ubisoft, and so it was kind of a referral type thing. And that's why I think it's really important to, make those connections that start in the classroom, because you'll see those people again in the industry, and they'll help you get started. So navigating my career as a 2SLGBTQIA+ community member, I'll never forget applying to Ubisoft. I was very excited to apply as my genuine self, right? And so I went all out. I made sure that I highlighted any sort of community involvement on my resume. But the most memorable part I'll never forget was writing a cover letter and kind of making it seem like I was being judged on RuPaul's Drag Race. And so it wasn't even me talking in the cover letter. It was just a panel of RuPaul's Drag Race judges talking about me while I was not there, kind of thing. It wasn't actually shown to anyone during the interview process, but it was shared internally, because I applied through a friend, and so they kind of shared it internally. They thought it was great. But yeah, I'll never forget that, the fact that I just felt comfortable doing that in the first place. And other personal experiences, it's kind of surreal talking to executives openly about your community and about the issues you face. And so it was very intimidating at first, but talking with somebody like Eve as the CEO of Ubisoft, about 2SLGBTQIA+ issues, it's a little daunting, but it's very down to earth. So it was very eye-opening, learned a lot. So being out at the office at work, I feel it's very much like being out in the real world in general, in your personal life, to your family, to your friends. It kind of liberates you, and you feel comfortable talking about things that, you wouldn't talk about if you were in the closet. I can freely talk about my husband to colleagues and stuff like that. I can freely talk about community events that's going on for Pride and all that. So how have my intersection with my identity? I'm not a spring chicken. I was born in 1980. I came out in the 90s. I started my career in the 90s. Back then, I wouldn't have dreamed of being out at work, let alone applying openly. And so nowadays, I feel like I'm way more confident than I used to be at that age, and the landscape has changed too. So I hope that young people these days don't feel like they have to hide themselves when they're pursuing their career, because I felt way more confident this time around applying for Ubisoft. So how do you know if a company is truly inclusive, and if there's any red flags and what to look for? Honestly, I would say do your research. I mean, even just in the past few years, companies have gone out of their way to kind of show that they're committed to being inclusive. And so it's easy to find online if there's already some kind of, corporate policy or commitment and all that. So definitely do your research, and don't be afraid to ask in the interview as well, right? The interviewers are there to answer your questions too. Feel free to ask, if they have any, resources for people in marginalized communities. The ERG at Ubisoft is called Ubi Proud. It's part of one of many ERGs representing different communities, marginalized communities in the company, and it's supported by the DIA team, which is Diversity, Inclusion, and Accessibility team. So ERG stands for Employee Resource Group. It's run by employees for employees, but it's supported by the company. So every individual studio can have their own local chapter run by employees there, and they do, studio-focused events and initiatives. And then you have the global ERG, which is more focused on, the company as a whole, trying to help everyone. And the goals for both of those, local and global, is to provide opportunities to connect, to learn, to celebrate all the different things that we do throughout the year, not just Pride Month. I jumped on the chance at joining right away just to see what it was all about, because for as long as I can remember, growing up, always wanting to be part of the industry. But then when I came out, I wanted to also make sure that there was space for people like me, and I wanted a sense of belonging and make sure that I could make a difference in the industry as well. Eventually, I did some of the leadership work as well and was leading the chapter in Toronto with a few other people. And eventually, I did a few years as a global co-lead as well and saw how it worked at the global level too. And that was very interesting. So what kind of activities or initiatives has UbiProud organized? Externally, there's articles that will be written by some of the members of the ERG that will post externally. You can look for them online. Sometimes there's social media posts that show you what we've been doing internally as well. But there's always some kind of Pride Month party wherever they are, and they share all that with the rest of the studio as well. We get to see and participate sometimes if it's like a virtual event. At the Toronto studio, for example, we'll have a pride party. We've had like drag queens come in and perform for us, and everyone at the studio. Years ago, because of the local chapter, we got gender neutral washrooms installed in the studio. And we also fly the rainbow flag, and we have flags throughout the studio, thanks to the ERGs as well. In the past, we did like this virtual drag queen bingo event and story time, which was amazing. And everyone across the entire company was invited to join and participate. And that was so much fun. Sometimes the executives will even post articles showing their commitments and statements and stuff like that. And globally, the CEO of Ubisoft a couple of years ago signed a charter in France for an organization called L'autre cercle, the other circle. And that charter was, to show that the company was committed to building an inclusive company, and so that was incredible, I thought.